we felt like that was going to be, we passed natural judgment, and we show up at Mountaindale, and we're walking through, and we're seeing all the guys warm up. There's also that construction tournament that was there.
Yeah, yeah.
And we knew nobody. So we're like, I wonder if that's the group that's playing, or I wonder if them.
That 73-year-old man.
And then Justin would walk up, and he'd say, oh, we got these guys.
Yeah.
And then we took class, and we were humbled quickly.
So you were the captain of the Urine Trouble team. How did that all come about? So you're the first official, 100% strangers to Man Games that signed up and came and participated. So tell me how you heard about it. How did that all come about?
I like to think I pioneered Man Games. The idea, anyways.
Yeah.
In 2018, so this goes way back.
Yeah.
2018, me and three buddies, we golf a lot together, work in the same industry. Ty Williamson, I think we talked about him. A mutual friend with these three buddies. We were sitting at Rumby and chatting, and the conversation came up. I was with one of the three, and we said, I don't think my buddy posed the question, said, I don't think there's anything that our other two could beat us at. And that was how the idea that we came up with back in, so I think it was 2019. We put videos together and we filmed, but we basically got together at Denny's and said, let's come up with 12 events, one per month for the year 2019.
Nice.
Starting in January.
Yeah.
And we competed 2-on-2. So the idea was already brewing. Like, we loved the idea of competing. It was just us for some of the same events that you had, right?
Yeah.
So fast forward, I think it was Ty who maybe participated a year.
Yeah, in the spring.
Prior, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he had sent a message, or he was talking about this to one of the buddies that we had done this for, and his response was like, what? Somebody finally made it awesome? So he had texted me about it.
Yeah.
And so that's where the idea came. And when I pulled up the website, I was like, we just did this. Are you kidding me? None of those three were on my team.
Okay.
My buddy who texted me about it, I think he knew that I was going to invite three other guys. Hopefully he's not offended by the idea, but so that's kind of how it started. I figured you had to be talented. We didn't know what to expect. There was no introduction. Ty gave us zero information. So,
well, in spring and fall were kind of billed differently. So the one that Ty attended, that one again, neither one of them are billed as marketing or networking events, but that one was a little bit more like, hey, if you like sports, come and play. Fall was billed much more of like hey, these are really, really good athletes. If you haven't played at least multiple high school sports at a varsity level, you're probably not going to enjoy this one. And so I think the two were billed a little bit differently. And so that's why I was excited to have you, though. Like, when I saw you sign up, I did a little bit of Facebook stalking and trying to figure out who everybody was. And your team was the biggest threat in my mind to our team. Like, as I was going through, I was like, I don't know what to expect with them, first off. But second off, they look really, really talented. So how do you know the three guys that came on your team?
So Kimball is my neighbor.
Okay.
And Kimball's a stud. I play a lot of basketball with him over the past decade. Well, no, with Kimball, probably the past 5 years, we play flag football.
Okay.
So we go up to Spence Eccles Fieldhouse and do 5-on-5.
Nice.
Utah Flag League is what it is. So Kimball and I played a lot of basketball, a lot of football, a lot of golf since we've lived close. And he's an athlete. He played at Lone Peak, went down and played at Dixie. So when I first heard of this, I text Kimball and I say, "Hey Kimball, is this something you'd be interested in?" He does. He works in the tech world, And I don't work in the tech world. From what I understand, all they do is play ping pong and spike ball and pickleball at
Sounds
work.
about right.
I mean, that seems like what they do. So I knew he could play some of those other things. But I said, Kimball, get a buddy, and I'll get a buddy, and let's go play.
Nice.
So that's.
So is your buddy Justin then, and then he brought Jordy?
Yeah. So he brought Jordy. So I didn't know Jordy
Mm-hmm.
prior. Jordy lives in Lehigh, close to us. So us three were in Lehigh, and then me and Burke I've known since just out of high school.
Okay.
We joined up, had a mutual friend. We joined up when I was probably 20, 24 or 25 or something like that. We went and played at the Utah Summer Games.
In basketball?
Basketball, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've golfed and basketball and everything with Justin since.
Yeah. Well, he's a freak on the basketball court, man. My goodness.
His story's pretty funny too. I talked to him. He said you'd invited him out.
Yeah, yeah.
He declined.
Yeah. Well, this is brought up on another one. He's quiet, right? He's kind of introvert, but when you get to talk to him, awesome dude. Just kind of more reserved, which is great.
He's a stud. He's got a pretty cool, I don't know if cool, but he's got an interesting story because he's a big basketball guy.
Yeah.
But he went to Bingham here at South Shore, and he didn't make his high school basketball team. I think that guy hit puberty when he was 20, right? he was a lot smaller. He grew after high school.
Okay.
And then for some reason, when he hit his early 20s, he came out to a pickup game. A mutual friend brought him out and said, "Hey, I'm going to bring this buddy, and I think he can be a pretty good basketball player." At the time, he wasn't quite as good, I don't think, basketball wise, but he showed up, and it was like Earl Manigault. He was jumping and touching the back of the back. The guy was just jumping out of the gym. It was unbelievable how he could hit his head on the rim very easily.
Yeah.
So out of nowhere, he just had this jumping ability. And then I think when he was probably 25, he went and got a trainer, learned how to shoot, and walked on at Colorado, maybe.
Yeah, somewhere in Colorado, I think.
Yeah, a little.
I remember seeing the jersey. I
something.
can't think of what it was. But.
Yeah, I can't remember now. I remember watching and kind of following him and whatnot. But anyways,
because he dunked on us when we played you guys at Man Games, and he had a couple others in some of the other games. And I've played around guys that, I mean, if everything works out right, they can dunk, right? Like everything, nobody's around, it's a fast break, whatever. But his was in game with somebody bumping him, and he can still just go up and dunk it. And that's just.
When you play with Justin, as long as we have that, that's a normal thing.
Yeah.
I could throw it anywhere near the hoop, and he'll take it and throw it down.
Yeah.
It's not even a surprise anymore.
It's so cool though. What's your athletic background? So what sports do you play? What do you feel confident in? What's your story?
I'm a nobody. That's who I am.
No.
I didn't play as a youth, and my backstory is really, really long. There's a lot to it. So anyone who knows me, I didn't play a lot of sports growing up. Moved a lot. Was just my dad wasn't around. It was just me and mom, and I was the youngest of a big family. So I didn't start really playing until high school. So I played in high school. Basketball, I played football, ran track. Didn't get into baseball much. But that's really where it ended. I ended up in high school at Copper Hills, which is out here in West Jordan. And did okay. I was a very average high school athlete. So I genuinely have no big time athletic background at all. I think it's just because I didn't play much. I played in the backyard, and that was about it. By the time I graduated, and I found other sports. I never swam, and then I started swimming after. I never cycled. I started cycling after. I started doing a lot of things. I think I was finding myself later in life.
Yeah.
And that's when I started getting into tons of different sports and hobbies and all sorts of things, after I get married and when I got a little bit older. But I'm good at a lot of things. I'm great at nothing.
I don't agree with that though, because like you're all really good at a lot of stuff, and right, and then there are people just the way that you move and you carry yourself, you can kind of say, "Okay, that person's an athlete," and you definitely have that. So even though you didn't go play college or whatever, you're still a very, very solid athlete. And then it was funny with all of the footage that we get with man games. It seems like all I had on your team was you and Justin scoring. So I feel bad for Kimball and Jordy because just whenever the photographer was there or videographer, it was always you two scoring. So you got all these scoring highlights on the basketball.
It was interesting through each event, especially basketball. There was 2 events we went in thinking, oh yeah, these will be our strong events. Golf.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 of 4 of us. Jordy wasn't quite as prolific on the golf course, but I think the rest of us are 10, 8. I think Justin's a 8 or a 7 handicap. Like we're all pretty good golfers, so we thought golf was going to be good, and we didn't think anyone was going to beat us at basketball.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, we just thought, well, you got Justin, he just can run and go. I'm fine. Kimball's great.
Yeah,
I do like to beat up Kimball because once we realized after basketball, we're like, man, I think you need to be able to shoot threes. I think if we were to learn this again, if we were to play this again, that's kind of important.
In our setup with 1s and 2s, for sure, the 3s are a big deal there.
Yeah, and that Kimball, I think, struggled in that round. So it was. It turned into a Justin show, and I contributed a layup here and there. So
what happened at golf? Because I thought that you guys would be up there too. I think if you guys don't have that little slip up in golf, you guys are probably close to winning this thing, because that one you got 0 points and there's a lot of points on the board that were left. So what happened there?
Well, I'll beat up on Kimball all day, and if he's watching this, he knows. So Jordy came in and he was pretty clear saying, I can golf, but so we went in kind of with this plan. I think Justin changed his game. I think he's the better of the golfer of us. And Justin was trying to play scramble golf.
Mm-hmm.
Had he just played golf, I think we would have done a lot better. I think we went 6 under on the front 9.
Hmm.
I think we did fine.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it became again the Matt and Justin 2-man scramble.
Hmm.
And so Justin started playing passive, and instead of birdie putts, we're chipping onto the green for birdie. So it was not. Yeah, that's a good question. I think that back 9 we struggled. It was probably a little bit. We should have just played our game, and we were trying to gauge what to expect.
Yeah,
in golf. But when we got last, we're like, whoa, that's terrible. We were pretty disappointed in that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, so one of our friends on Instagram is Groove It Brush, and so their theory is that your grooves just weren't clean enough. So we got you this Groove It Brush, and we can show it up here. So you've got this for you now that you can use for your next tournament. This is what it looks like outside the box. Super strong magnet that you just stick onto your bag. And then I'm not going to do this. Water's actually in this one, but you push down here and it squirts water out, and then you can clean your grooves.
So is this a local company?
No. I think they're the guy that I interact with is out of Canada. It's a really cool product. I mean, just as I've gone through and messed around with it, and this isn't like we don't get a commission or anything off of it. I just think it's really neat. So,
well, ironically, I think I just got a Instagram request from them.
Oh yeah, that might be it.
Like an hour ago.
Yeah. There it is. So there you go.
I think that's them.
So you'll do a lot better next time at golf.
Yeah, we felt like that was gonna be. We pass natural judgment. And we show up at Mountaindale, and we're walking through, and we're seeing all the guys warm up. There's also that construction tournament that was there.
Yeah.
And we knew nobody. So we're like, I wonder if that's the group that's playing, or I wonder if them.
That 73-year-old man.
And then Justin would walk up, and he'd say, oh, we got these guys.
Yeah.
And then we took glass, and we were humbled quickly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What about basketball? So I think that our team is lucky that we played you first, because I think that nobody really knew what to expect. And I had kind of told our team, like, look, these guys are good. And it kind of ramped us up a little bit, super tight game. But I thought basketball was pretty competitive, all in all. Did your team enjoy basketball? Was that a fun event for you?
Yeah. I think we were all pretty sore. Justin had some knee issues. He played through it. I think we woke up that morning. None of us were prepared.
Yeah.
None of us prepped ahead of time. None of us went out and worked on our game to be ready.
Yeah.
So by that morning, we were my feet hurt, my legs hurt.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting old, you know.
Yeah.
So we enjoyed basketball. Had basketball been an earlier event, I think it would have been a benefit to us. And then two, we would have the same excuse of, now that we've done it,
Yeah.
once we do it again,
Yeah.
it'll be a whole different story.
Yeah.
Because it took us probably 2 games to start realizing, just kick back and shoot some threes and rebound, and then dish Justin the ball when we get tired. You know. So we did enjoy basketball. I did. Kimball liked it. Jordy was surprisingly really good at everything. He came in and he was solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we enjoyed basketball. I think it was just a matter of trying to figure it out in the beginning.
Yeah.
Playing you guys, the 3-point line was big.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that as I went through and watched it again, I mean, we just hit a bunch of threes. I think that's really all it was. You guys kind of controlled it, but then we throw in a couple of threes and get back in.
Yeah, I think we lost a few games. We didn't do great. But again, we probably say the same thing every other team probably said is, we should have won every one of those games. Every team had some pretty talented dudes, some pretty talented guys, but we think we go back and the Macy Media team.
Yeah.
Who was there? Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just scored all their points, and we're like, next time we'll know better.
Yeah.
But you guys were good. I think the way you put your team together, I think you have the same mentality that I have had for a number of years. You get a few buddies, and you're like, I don't think anyone can beat us.
Yeah.
In any sport, when we're in our element, and I don't think we beat you guys every time. I think every other team we thought, we'll kick their butts every time. I mean, they're all studs, but you guys had it put together. You guys had a solid team. Your 2 buddies that everyone thought were brothers.
Yeah,
I could have sworn I thought they were related.
They had an over-under going during man games. They had a bet of how many times somebody would ask if they were brothers. And on the very first tee, somebody asked, hey, are you 2 brothers? And so I think the over-under was like 5, and they got asked like 7 or whatever it was. But so John and Donnie, two studs, just 2 stud athletes.
Yeah.
Super solid. What was your favorite event then? The first day is a beast. I mean, it's 18-hour slugfest.
That's a really good question. We liked basketball. Golf is probably the favorite, but we did terrible at golf. So in man games, that probably wasn't our favorite event. Yeah. I think spike ball, the home run derby was great. That's a good question. I don't think there was. I think we approached it as an all event thing, and I'd have to. The home run derby was solid. I think that's the event. I never did see the scoreboard on anything.
Yeah.
I don't think we knew how to find it. We were like the ignorant team that just went and played. But I think the home run derby, we might have done the best. We might have got the most points.
I think you took second. I think.
Yeah, as a team.
Yeah.
But that was a blast. Home run derby was really fun. It's hard to say. It's hard to point a favorite on the rest of those, but pickleball was least enjoyable.
Yeah.
Justin had never played.
Yeah.
Maybe once when he was back in high school, and so him and I were in the B division, and I think we won once or a couple times, but that home run derby. I think if I had to pick one, that's probably it.
That's cool. Yeah, it got pretty cold there at the end, but for the most part, that was a personal favorite of mine. We had never done that one before, and so it was kind of one of those keep my fingers crossed. Let's hope this goes well. And all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. So with sports in general, what do you get from them? Like, what have you learned? What kind of skill set outside of just pushing and shoving and being in shape? What is it about sports that has made you want to pursue them more and do things like man games with your friend group and then coming to this one? What is it about sports that scratches that itch for you?
I don't think I would I think it took me until my kids were in sports to probably appreciate a good answer to that question.
How many kids do you have?
I have 6.
That's a lot of kids.
It is a lot of kids.
What is the age
Yeah.
range?
My daughter's in 9th grade. She's 14. She's the
Wow.
oldest. And then I have 5 boys. The youngest is 2. So 9th grade to 2.
Wow.
Yeah, we joked that my wife was pregnant for more time than she wasn't for the length of our marriage. You know?
That's amazing.
Yeah, 6 kids. I'm from a pretty big family. Wife's the oldest of 5.
Wow.
She's a mom. That's her career.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what is it about kids? What did you learn with kids?
So my kids got into football. My oldest boy, he's in 7th grade now. He got into football, I think, in 4th grade a few years ago. I coached, and he really changed that year. Became more of a disciplined. You know, we coached that like military style. We were really hard on these 4th graders. Us young parents, we were pretty ignorant. We just wanted to put the hash down on him. But he changed in a way that there was a new respect found. I mean, you talk about a 4th grader, but all of a sudden he turns into this kid who he recognizes the value of being on time, of helping your teammates, being disciplined to understand that you don't want to let other people down. I think that is something that I found later and now with my kids that I don't think I ever recognized, but I appreciate now through me playing through high school.
Yeah.
And that's for sure the value that I find out of all sports and continuing to play. One, I go to play to be in shape these days now. There's a value of just being in shape, but there is really a team-oriented discipline that I think good coaches bring to probably any sport.
Yeah.
So I think that's a primary thing that I would pull out of wanting my kids to be involved in sports and me wanting to continue to be in sports is this idea of discipline, teamwork. You're thinking of others, and sports really teaches that.
How has your perspective changed now that you're the coach? And have you gained a new appreciation for maybe the coaches you had now that you're kind of on that side of it? Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. Coaching's tough. It sucks. You know, how much you hate the officials or how much you hate the certain rules. Coaching is hard. I think there's a newfound appreciation for coaches. Coaches are hard to come by.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, officials have been hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
We only have a game if we have officials. Now, I'm living my life through my kids these days now. I like to join them because I still can, but a lot of things is through my kids. And, the appreciation and time it takes to coach and teach kids is a tough gig.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not for the weary. It's, you gotta be willing
Yeah.
to put the time in. So, and it helps me understand too that there's good coaches and there's not good coaches.
Yeah.
And you want to appreciate the people who put in time, even if they don't understand the game or never played it or maybe aren't the best coach.
Yeah.
But a role model is super important that you get out of that.
Yeah. One thing that I've looked back on my kind of the coaches I've had is it seems like very much like a team. If you can have a team of coaches that are all kind of have their roles. And so you do need the coach that knows the X's and O's and they know what's happening. But there are a lot of coaches, and some of my favorite coaches, actually, when I look back, they really didn't know a lot about the game, but they just loved helping kids. They liked helping you improve as a person, improve as a player. And they were there to kind of weather the negative things you had to say about the head coach or whatever, they're kind of like that best friend role. So I think that having that person is really important too. Again, to your point though, of like they may have never even played the game, but they're there to listen and to kind of guide you in a way that I've grown to appreciate since. Looking back, I probably didn't as much as I should have.
Yeah, this last year we had a cool experience. A little fourth grader on one of my kids' football teams. We didn't know anything about his background. Us coaches were, there's a handful of guys that hadn't played before, and we're just putting together a coaching group together to try to figure out how to coach football. And one time at practice, he came up and he was like, "Oh, sorry, coach. I'm not doing good, or I'm sorry I was late, or I'm sorry." And then he started to say, "My dad's not, my dad's not around to help me out," and he started rambling about not being as good because he didn't have dad. And I was like, "Hey, you got 7 dads right here. It's all good.
Yeah.
We're here to help you." Later, got a long email length, multiple page text from his mom.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool experience because in this, it was clear that she was very emotional.
Yeah.
Cried, very thankful. The one comment that I just casually threw out, like, "We're all here for you. Don't sweat it, man. Get back to work."
Yeah. You're wasting time.
Yeah. Mom was more than appreciative. She was very open about his backstory.
Yeah.
Dad's not around. Very rough relationship. This kid's had it rough.
Yeah.
But you just don't know that as a coach. And so those are things, too, you learn. And you find appreciative that you don't know where these kids have been. You don't know their background. You can be hard on kids, but at the same time, sometimes you're the best role model that they've ever had.
Yeah.
And this little kid likes to hang out with us now. He's kind of joined the family now. So it was a pretty cool experience.
That's super cool. I think as you talked about coaches and referees, coaches, there is kind of a thankfulness side of it. Referees, I don't think there is. I think that's a thankless job. I feel so bad for referees.
It's a terrible job.
Any call you make, 50% of the people in the building think you're wrong and that you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Coaches, it's like 2/3 of the people might think you're okay, but you get those experiences that I think are super, super cool. And most of the closest friendships I have in my life are through sports. And you talk about like not knowing that full story. My dad was usually my coach. Like all growing up, he was the guy for me. But then also seeing the kids who didn't have that influence, and so that healthy male bonding in this instance, I think sports is a way that you can get that. There are also the other side of things where maybe it's not a great experience for some, but there's a lot of responsibility on you, man, as being a coach now and making sure that you can cultivate those kids and teach them what really matters outside of just the win-loss record.
Yeah, I was the opposite of you. And maybe that's why I'm so motivated. I didn't have dad around.
Yeah.
And I was that kid.
Yeah.
I was that kid that didn't have, and it was in hindsight that was normal, but as I get older and I look back, the upbringing was very odd and very abnormal relative to what people call normal, which I don't know if normal is normal, but
Right.
So maybe that is a piece of it.
Yeah.
I want to do what I never could.
Yeah.
Same thing with sports. I want to play sports that I never could. Maybe we couldn't afford it, or I never was told. I didn't have a dad telling me, "Hey, these are some cool sports. You should try them."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure there's a part of that.
That's such an interesting topic, and I've talked about it before with some other close friends, and we don't have to go too deep on it, but normal, right? What is normal? And to me, so my dad he owned some apartments, so he was a landlord, right? So he didn't have a 9-to-5 job. He was home all the time. He was always there, and he was always my coach. And he was and so now growing up, I do have a job where I leave and I go to the office and then I look at my kids and I'm like, I feel like I am failing in a way because I am not able to put the amount of time that my dad put into me. And that's my idea of normal. That's how I was raised. I should be there all the time, and I can't. And so it's so interesting when you bring up normal, because I think that was an abnormal life that I got to live, and thank God for it or whatever else. But I got to have my dad there, and I think that's abnormal in a good way. But that was my normal. That's just what I knew.
Yeah, everything's relative, right? Your normal and my normal. It's hard to say. We had this conversation about people and personalities.
Yeah.
I have a nephew and a brother. There's a autism diagnosis here, and then there's one that's like, oh, he definitely has it, and then over time they're like, oh, that's not even a thing anymore. And so we had this conversation about personalities. Well, I'm on the normal side, a buddy said as we're talking. And then there's kind of this personality down here. And then down here and I'm like, what does that even mean? You're on the normal side. How do you even put that into a spectrum? So we get into a lot of conversations like that too, based on life and background. And I think it's all, the best answer that I could give is it's all relative to how the people around you, your network, your family, how you were raised, everything is relative.
Yeah.
As opposed to society.
Yeah.
How they portray it,
I guess normal is how well can you comply with what society wants you to do, but then again, like being abnormal in that isn't necessarily a bad thing sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No, and that's a big part of Man Games too is right now, like the fact I would have never met you outside of Man Games most likely. And so it's meeting people with different stories and different backgrounds. And as I think you saw there, you had people with different backgrounds, whether that's religion, whether that's race, whether that's whatever, family makeup. So it's a cool, unique opportunity to kind of get together and meet some cool dudes. And how did your initial Man Games end up? You never told me like the 2-on-2 buddies. Did you beat them in all 12 events?
We didn't beat them in all 12. That was one of the most enjoyable years I had, which is why we looked forward to your Man Games. You did it much better than we did. We put a phone, racquetball was our second event, and we stuck a phone in the corner and record and try to get us and play a little racquetball. So yeah, me and my buddy Brian, we ended up winning that. We had that won by November. We lost a couple events. There were some events that were really fun. We did like track and field type events. We did strength events.
Oh, nice.
Where you had to tandem push-ups and pull-ups.
Wow.
That was different.
And the other team was there with you for all of this, or this was like you would record you and your buddy doing it and you would compare it to the other two?
No. The whole goal was to get together.
Okay, good.
So the way you, I don't know if you marketed, may not be the right word, but the way you sort of marketed this Man Games was, let's get together and let's have fun. And you're like, don't be an ass. That's kind of the thing. And I thought, okay, well, your goal is friendships.
Yeah.
That was from the outside coming in. What's the goal here? You want to get together with buddies. You want to play sports. You want to compete and show that you're the better athlete across the board. But you want to get together with your buddies. And that was our outside of saying, I don't think you can beat me in any of these. The goal was to get together.
Yeah.
So some of those, it was a basement. We went to the rec center for some. We did a football event. We did a track event where we ran it was a 4x1. Well, I guess a 2x1.
Okay, yeah.
Run once around the track, tag once around the track, just a race. Went over to the high school for that one, but we did win that. Me nice. And my buddy Brian, we beat the other team, but we did 2-on-2 sand volleyball. That was one of our events. That was really fun. So some of these, we did a home run derby.
Yeah.
We went over to the Lehigh.
Is it like a sports complex?
Yeah. We went there, and it was the shorter, like 280 feet fence. We used baseballs. We pitched to each other. So I had kind of a grasp of what you were putting together because we did that. But that was really, really fun year.
Yeah.
By the end of the year. And we got together, and we were good friends already, but we got together and had lunch on a monthly basis. And I save a lot of the videos as favorites just to show our events. We tried to film a little bit of each event.
Yeah.
Pickleball we did, and basketball we did, a little 2-on-2. So that was really fun, though.
That's super cool. Yeah, I mean, it sounds exactly like how ours started, really, because all my friends growing up, either John went to a different high school. I was supposed to go to Hillcrest with Donnie, and I ended up going to Jordan. And so we had actually played against each other. He and I were best friends from third grade on. And then there were several others in our friend group. So we either played with or against or both each other growing up. And so I was like, I think I could beat most of these guys. And like, they might get me in golf, but I'll get that person in this one. And so we kind of did it that way. And then just how you've heard already, it was just like, well, I think our friend group could take on pretty much any other friend group. And
yeah, that's how it starts. And I think you think that with a lot of things. That was where it came up with us. We're just sitting around lunch thinking, I don't think anyone could beat us at a two-man scramble or a best ball in golf. I just don't think it. Well, relative to our friend group.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people could beat us, but
Yeah. Well, I think I was so, again, the fact that I didn't know any of you. Did any of your team know any of the other people there? Or was it all new strangers at that point?
No, it was all strangers. Once we got there, there was one or two people that Chase, I think he had played in a couple of these Pro-Am basketball tournaments in Lehigh. So once we got there, it was like, oh, yeah, I recognize you. We played and mutual. I think Jordy knew a couple guys.
Yeah.
But everyone else was strangers.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew anybody.
Yeah. See, and that's always a big cause of nerves for me is the people that I don't know. But with all the other teams, usually I know who the captain is. And so I could be like, hey, this guy's being a jerk, like calm it down. But you guys, I didn't know anybody. And so I was like, oh, I hope they're not all jerks or else I don't know what I'd do. But you guys were all so cool. Like seriously, on all the other episodes, we've heard everybody just compliment how awesome your whole team was. So I appreciate that, like sincerely. Like that's super awesome.
Yeah, that's good. We definitely could have been jerks for sure.
There are opportunities for it.
We're all pretty aggressive and we're all competitive. I think what helped is you had 36 other guys that were pretty chill, cool guys, and I think you built it up in the beginning really well.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what, like I said, I'll say it obviously 100 times. You didn't know what to expect. We had no idea what the experience was going to be like, but I think that was kind of your primary pitch right up front, which was helpful. Like, oh, okay, we'll do our best and have fun, but try not to be a jerk. And
yeah. What would you do different going in it, knowing what you know now? What would you do different?
Every event would be different.
Yeah.
Everything would be different. I think prep, a little bit of a prep. We did minimal. So let's see, it was a Friday, Saturday. So I think that Tuesday we got together out in Bluffdale at that pickleball complex.
Mm-hmm.
Brought a spike ball net, and Kimball taught me and Justin how to play spike ball that day. We had never played spike ball before. And then we played a little pickleball. So prep probably would have been a little bit different. I think we would have got together and come up with a game plan. Had poker not been so late, I think we would have done a little better at that. I think at that point we were tired, and maybe we would have stayed up in Midway too.
Where did you all go back home?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
I think it was late. Kimball and Jordy may have picked up a place there at the homestead. Justin and I drove back. I was at a point at my table. I had a pretty cool table at poker, but I was at a point where there was, I think, 5 of us left. I think it was the 4th one to go out, and it was kind of a slow game.
Yeah.
One of the twins was at our table. I think Chase was at our table.
So you were on like Donnie and Brad and.
Nate may have been at that table. Yeah. And that was the other hard thing. I didn't know anybody. So for the first day, I still didn't know anyone's name.
Yeah.
Like, not. It was hard to grasp the concept of the networking concept. I think is a big part of it, whether you mean it to be or not.
Yeah.
And so by day 2, we still don't know anyone, and everyone else knows everyone. They're being friends, and we're just like these outcasts. Me and Justin sitting in the truck, and we're like, feel like nobody likes us, you know. I don't think we felt that, but there's an awkward, I don't know anybody feel.
Yeah.
But now I lost where I was going with prep, maybe.
Yeah. What would you do different? Do you get ready, prepare different?
Strategy. We were doing strategy. Oh, and I think the poker thing, I finally was just, I went all in quick, and I was just like, I risk it. If it's done, it's done. It is what it is. So I would go back, and a couple of these other guys that were very slow in, they stayed long because they were very passive at everything.
Yeah.
Nate went in first round, all in. And I beat him with a pair of 5s, and he's like, no other good poker player would have gone in. Everyone would have folded, and I would just win. I've done it 100 times. He plays poker all the time, but I was the stupid one who just stayed in for some dumb reason. But yeah.
That reminds me of The Office, where he's like, but I said all in. And he's like, yeah, I know. I think I have pretty good cards.
He had no cards. He just went in thinking, I'm going to strategy. I'm going to get a quick win, and then I'm going to play out. And then he ended up out the very first hand. And I felt bad because he's like, I play poker all the time. I was like, I don't. I think prep would have been a lot different. basketball would have been different. We would have schemed it, obviously, from game one. We would have shot a lot more instead of let's go with the basket. That was a terrible idea. 3-on-3, you got to shoot. We probably would have not put as much in pickleball and spike ball. So by the second day, we're not so tired and sore. Just things like that.
Yeah.
Understanding the scoring,
Yeah.
I think was a big deal because at no point did we know where we were at.
Yeah.
I think maybe once halfway through the first day, we get a gauge, or you had kind of announced where people were at, and all we knew is we were terrible at golf. So understanding the scoring and what team is ahead of us, how should we scheme to jump above them?
Yeah.
I think all that is valuable. That would be very helpful.
For sure.
So those would all be things that we would adjust, is understanding.
Yeah. I think you were definitely behind the 8 ball on that, again, because no one from your team had seen it. Every other team at least had one person who knew kind of what was coming and what to expect. And
yeah. Well, there was conversations with other teams we could hear, and they're like, okay, here's the point. This is how many points we're behind, and this is – and I'm thinking, I don't even know what the point structure is. Like, how many points did I get for this? Yeah. You would send out emails, and I think it was just a lot to take in.
For sure.
What information do I want to take in, and what information can I
what do you need,
go?
And what can you, like, move on?
Yeah, so there's a handful of things we would definitely just slight understanding.
What sports weren't in this one that need to be in the next one?
You need to do you need to swim. You need something in the water. That's what you need to do.
Did you do a swimming one as part of your little thing? With your buddies?
Yeah.
Like a relay, or what did you do?
Oh, we didn't end up doing the swimming, but that was on our list.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one got cut out because of the facility, and we had to adjust it from winter to summer. Mm-hmm. But our plan was it was similar to the run.
Mm-hmm.
You get the 25-meter laps, and it's just a relay.
Yeah.
But any swimming. As I got older, I got into triathlon. I did I never did a full, but sprints and Olympics and such.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. So those type of things that no one likes, but I think adds to competition.
Yeah.
I like sports that there's a lot of parity.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's kind of even.
Yeah.
Where you don't know, those are always enjoyable. It's hard in this because people plan ahead when you know the events, and you say, okay, I need so-and-so on my team that's a really good volleyball player.
Yeah. And
someone who's a really good golfer, and someone who's a really good pickleball player. But I think sports that are different. Imagine taking all those same guys and doing something that no one had ever really done, like archery or something, right? Or some sort of cycling, running, race, powerlifting thing where it's like, I'm sure a lot of people talk about cornhole. I think you had done a lot of that, or you had done that once in the past.
Yeah, we've done it a couple times. Yeah, we try to rotate events around.
Yeah.
We tried to do one new one that we've never done before. This one actually had 2. We'd never done dodgeball. We'd never done the home run derby, and then we try to rotate through some others.
Yeah, dodgeball's fun. I take that one out.
Yeah.
Towards the end, we're all tired anyways, and the group thing, but or you just mix sports. Some people don't like that as much, but I do think there's there is fun mixing up sports.
Yeah.
Kind of disc golf. We did that too.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That was another one. Frisbee. I think you could do ultimate frisbee or disc golf or something like that, but. Combinations, making up your own sport type games. Those are always fun.
That's awesome. I've considered doing like a mystery event to where nobody knows what it is. It can't be one that I'm participating in because then I have an unfair advantage. But like spring, I didn't participate, so I've thought about like what's a mystery event where, okay, you need to bring cleats, and that's all I got. Like that's all you know about the event, and then throwing something in there. I think that would be kind of a fun, little wrinkle. Yeah,
that's fun. You kick, and then everyone shows up and you realize you're just kicking field goals or something. It's like, and we got any kickers in the group? So you can, yeah.
That's awesome. Tell me about what you do for a living. What is your profession? I know a little bit, but for those who are just listening in, what
the 4 or 5 people?
We got like 13 maybe.
So yeah, my wife and I have a home care agency that we run here locally. We office in Murray.
Yeah.
We're a private duty home care. So I've been in healthcare for a while. The three buddies that I was talking about, we've all been in the home health and hospice realm and kind of this healthcare realm for a decade or two, you know.
Yeah.
So Beehive Senior Care is our company. I had a partner who he originally started with him and his wife. I joined in while I was working in the hospice realm. Eventually, I bought him out, took over. He moved up to Idaho. So that's been our primary business over the past probably 8 years now.
Yeah.
Since 2015, I think.
Mm-hmm.
7 years. And then venture out into other things. I have a couple partners that we do some FedEx ground contracting. If you know, you know, but if you don't, you don't, is what I've found in that industry.
So I may have asked somebody a little bit about you and you brought that up. And so I had no idea that was a thing. So you can buy a route essentially for FedEx. Is that you ever buy into it? How does that work?
Yeah, you basically purchase contracts is what it is. So the entire network of FedEx has like layers. You got freight, FedEx Express, FedEx Ground. They used to be a home delivery, right? They sort of have these layers. All of FedEx Ground is independent service contractors. FedEx doesn't run any of the employees or own any of the trucks.
Wow.
So that's every zip code everywhere that FedEx Ground is. There's been a lot of shifting over the recent years, and you could get a lot of positive and negative if you're looking it up. But essentially what you do is right now every zip code is owned by somebody, and usually they're within every terminal has X number of, you should call them contractors, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who own a territory, and then they purchase the trucks and they hire all the employees and they do all the back end work. So they run the business. FedEx pays on a contract level on a per package and based on mileage and this 20-page algorithm that who knows what it's really in. But so a lot of people these days just put them up for sale, and then people lose their contract. And FedEx agreement says, well, if you're not performing, we're going to give you the boot and give it to somebody else. So,
performance, is that making sure you're delivering on time? Is that making sure the packages aren't broken? Like, how do they judge performance on that?
Are the packages delivered? And are you safe? That's all they care about.
Okay.
I mean, really, that's all that matters. Service is 99.8%. That's 99.8 packages out of 100 packages you deliver get delivered.
Yeah.
And then safety. Rex. Rex. That's pretty much it.
So it's almost like franchising routes. Is that am I understanding that right?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, you could think of it that way. It's very, very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Similar. I mean, it's different. It's obviously not a franchise. There's no royalties. And
Okay.
FedEx has a bunch of rules within each terminal. They don't want any one contractor owning more than X% of all of the packages that go to that terminal. So we have some in New Mexico, and we currently own 20% of the volume for that terminal. Well, if you own like over 10%, then FedEx will send you a letter, let you know, hey, if your service is struggling, or for whatever reason, because you're overscale is what they call it.
Yeah.
You're a lot more likely to get it taken from you. So they have risk factors in place. So what some people do is some own one, and that's kind of what they live off of. And with us, it's let's own one here, and we picked up one in Salt Lake. They're just zip codes, right? So we own a certain area of zip codes.
Yeah.
And then it's our job that every package that is delivered to those zip codes get delivered safely, So we own the trucks, we own the software, all the iPads, all the scanners, all that, whatever else goes along with it.
Is that something that where that's all there for you and you come and you buy that already? Or is that something where like I'd have to go find my brand new trucks and I have to go get them painted and I have to do that all yourself? Does that make sense?
Yeah, every zip code right now has somebody that's delivering.
Yeah.
So everywhere has a vehicle, or they call it contingency. If there's an area where someone just backs out or they're struggling, then FedEx has backup, contingency after backup, contingency after backup. So if you were to go in and purchase one, it already has someone who owns it, who likely has vehicles and other things.
Yeah.
I suppose you could buy it, but the guy selling it says, I'm taking my vehicles, you're good luck.
Yeah.
But that's, they're probably not going to sell it for very much, right? It's usually if someone's selling it, it's here's the contract, which has value itself.
Mm-hmm.
Plus we'll give you, all the trucks and all the scanners and everything kind of comes with it. So usually you purchase it as a package deal. Or the other route is bidding on someone who's been
Kicked out.
relieved of duty. Yeah. So FedEx will do something like, we're not renewing your contract. You're going to be out in February. So then you're like, November, okay, I got 3 months. I'm going to do my due diligence, and they're usually going to finish it out. And then we would come in, and sometimes you can work with the current owner and say, let me buy your trucks too. You're not going to need them,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
So that's something that we did in Salt Lake is
Wow.
purchase vehicles and purchase some of his equipment. And then we go buy our own. And
Yeah.
But yeah, anywhere you go in, usually there's somebody already there, so you just can facilitate an
How
easy
many
transition.
zip codes are in that? I mean, is one zip code enough to keep you busy, or is it usually you buy a few?
No, it's a lot. So every zip code in West Valley is us. So any FedEx ground, if you're ever in West Valley from I-15, 80 to 201, all the way to Magna, is our trucks.
Hmm.
So I think there's a handful of zip codes throughout West Valley there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's usually more. Like in New Mexico, we deliver all the way through southern Colorado, the very southern end of Colorado, mostly southwest, right? And there's probably 20 or 30 zip codes throughout that area. It's a very rural.
Yeah.
Our guys are driving 3 hours one way to start delivering. you
Wow.
know. So usually or more. Usually it's a big area.
I would have never known that exists. Like, that's wild.
We were looking at a bunch of things, and we had no idea. We didn't know anything about FedEx Ground. But a few years ago, we were looking at motels and gas stations, and we're like, our budget was X. And so we're like, let's get into the small business realm doing something else. I have a business. I have a couple other partners. They have kind of their own livelihood companies. So it wasn't something we had to go for a livelihood. It's just, let's get into something else.
Yeah.
And one of the brokers that somebody knew who somebody knew who somebody knew we were looking. And so they passed on and says, hey, let me introduce you to FedEx Ground. I wouldn't say it's, you go in and it's some amazing gig, but if you do it right, you could easily make a very good living doing it. I mean, sometimes FedEx is terrible and they like cut contracts, and now you're like, now I'm making no money.
Not in West Valley, New Mexico, though.
Yeah.
Just hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, that's right. As long as you manage it well, we've done really well.
That's super interesting. And then your other, the Beehive stuff. So it's kind of the world I'm in, kind of not, right? So for those who don't know what home health care is, how would you describe it? And who can benefit from it?
I think most people get very confused between the differences throughout the continuum of care. You have home health and hospice. The word home health gets very generalized. Health care at home, right? So you have hospice care, palliative care. These days, it's so far removed from end of life. It's that's the principle, though.
Yeah. And that's where you have a 6-month diagnosis before you're passing away is technically the definition.
Yeah, for sure. palliative care have changed the billing, and people don't, there's still a lot of people who don't like the word hospice, even though now it's pushed a lot more. The marketing is done a lot better. So people are now accepting, oh, this is a pretty cool benefit that is covered 100% by Medicare and it's free to me.
Yeah.
Great. Let's do it. Kids don't like it because they think, oh, I don't want dad on hospice. There's rules. You can't go to the hospital anymore. There's a lot of things you can't do. And then you have home health, which most companies have kind of both services. And that's the in-home rehab.
Yeah.
Physical therapy, nursing. I'm going to come in for a very short period of time, maybe a month, maybe 3 months. And my goal is to get you from here to here.
Yeah.
And then we discharge, carry on your way. Covered by insurance. Most of the time that's after some sort of surgery, right? Knee surgery or a hip surgery or something of that sort. Or I'm just getting old and I fell. I just want to rehab back. Those are two realms that I started working in when I was just finishing my undergrad. And then the private duty home care, which most people refer to us as home health, is a little bit different. We're basically private pay. So we're not in the Medicare realm.
Right.
Medicare doesn't pay for it, doesn't cover it. We put, individuals into a home to say, hey, you want to stay home? You don't want to go to assisted living? You're aging? You need additional help that your family can't do? We'll send someone into your house from, a couple hours to 24 hours a day. We'll live in with you. We'll move someone in. They'll live in the basement, and they'll be there anytime you need them. One-on-one, you're there. Most private pay.
Yeah.
People pay on a per-hour basis. There's years ago, it was a lot more common to have long-term care insurance policies.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we still see people with policies that will cover.
Yeah.
Separate, right? Separate insurance policies.
And for better or worse, I mean, we offer that through my regular job, right? And so that's the conversation we're constantly having with people is we help people with Medicare. That's the primary focus of our industry. But then it's like, look, Medicare doesn't touch what you would think of as live-in home healthcare. It doesn't touch nursing homes. It doesn't touch Alzheimer's, dementia. It doesn't touch those things. What you mentioned, you go in for a surgery and you're rehabbing, yes, well, you're good. But anything outside of that, it doesn't touch it. And so a lot of people aren't fully aware of that, right? Because it's, oh, my insurance will cover that. Medicare will cover that. And they don't.
For sure. I get that question nearly every phone call, or anyone that calls in and talks to the office is what does insurance cover? So it's a constant education.
Yeah.
For sure. People don't want to hear that. Oh, unfortunately, that's a great question. Insurance covers a lot.
Yeah.
But here's where they cap out.
Yeah.
A few shower visits, then you're capped out.
Yeah.
But I have learned over the recent years of life insurance policies. You convert life insurance policies into a living care benefit. So I do see some of those.
Yeah.
Recently too.
There's a lot of interesting stuff out there that probably isn't for man games people to really think about too much, though.
Yeah, as the elderly, yeah. But just like man games, you talk to some of these elderly people; they've been through it. You have a good conversation with them. You can learn a lot.
Oh yeah,
a lot of good life lessons.
We do want to put together a geezer games. Senior games is taken, so we can't really say that. But we do want to put a games together for more.
Taken, like trademarked?
The Utah Senior Games. So I don't know that we want to flirt with that, but
yeah,
that'd be fun.
Change the name for sure.
What is something that in your profession? Well, I guess a couple spins off of that. From an athletic or sporting standpoint, has that helped or influenced you at all in your professional life?
Yeah, I would have to say absolutely. The marketing realm, prior to purchasing and kind of taking over the Beehive thing, I guess even now, yeah, absolutely. 90% of my networking is on the golf course. The marketing is at the Jazz game, and I think that's most of how I create business.
Yeah.
So I suppose if that's an answer to the question you're asking is how do sports help me in my professional life?
Yeah.
That's where you gain all of your relationships, you know. You meet someone, and I think that's where I've found a value of being so diverse in my interests
Hmm.
as I've gotten older, is because when you're developing a relationship, everyone's different. Everyone has different interests. And if I just found those people that liked golf or liked going to the Jazz game or hitting up a Utes game or something, then that would be very narrow. But uh, mountain biking is something that I've done.
Yeah.
Never did mountain biking, but you run into someone and that's kind of a passion they have. And so you get involved in being very active with them mountain biking. Or you're having a conversation and they start talking about how their daughter is on the swim team at so-and-so university. They're very passionate. They're very knowledgeable about that. So I think that's good for anybody building relationships, is having a wide array of interests, likes, and knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
now I can banter with you about Call of Duty because that's your thing, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you like self-help books? Great. I can have a conversation because you're well-rounded. So I think in the sports realm, that's a very principal way that I have developed relationships with people who pass business our way.
Yeah. Yeah. What relationships are you looking for professionally, right? Like if people wanted to work with you, what does that individual look like? Is it strictly like my parents need help in home healthcare, or are there like partnerships that make sense for you?
Yeah, most of it is partnerships. I think through the last few years with COVID at home, there are plenty of families that are just jumping on Google to say, I need some home care in my area, home care near me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Most of it is a referral setup. So we're a company that there's usually not a big need for advertising or billboards or commercials, or social media has its place as a presence. I would say most everything is referral based from within the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So physicians, skilled nursing facilities, assisted living facilities. In my world, I'm not home health and hospice. So hospice companies and home health companies who are going in saying, hey, this is what we can do. And a family says, I need more. And they're like, I know just the guy to give the number to. So social workers within that realm, those are the type of people that is our goal to build a relationship with.
Yeah.
In the home health hospice world, the clinic, the hospitals, discharge planners, you're going home from the hospital, you need someone there. You don't want to go into assisted living, you want to go home, you need additional help. Let me give you a number.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the network of individuals we look for to build relationships with.
Very cool. Donnie is an orthopedic surgeon, but it's not here in Utah, so that would have been a good connection.
He's one that traveled, wasn't he? Didn't he come from somewhere in the Midwest? Or?
Yeah, he's in St. Paul right now, Minnesota. Mm-hmm.
Minnesota.
Got a year of fellowship, and then I think he accepted a gig in Montana, so he'll be in Montana for a few years.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Some of these guys who have been through a lot of schooling and getting their professions in, I just look back and I think, oh, that would have been great to have a mentor tell me I should jump into college and you should go get your education in something that's a really affluent profession.
It's a crazy. So him and another guy that played on his same team in high school are both going that route, right? And Donnie's almost done. He's almost gotten through it all. And I started that direction. And I can't imagine being my age now and just now starting to earn money in a way, right? And Donnie's got so many cool things that he's done in that time. But I'm like, man, that's a lot of school. That's a lot of just physicians. Props to them, because that's a crazy life.
A friend of mine's a dentist, and we got talking about that. I was sitting around the table with my kids, and I said, by the time you guys are adults and making money, the standard of living is like, you got to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in your profession just to have a good living.
Yeah.
So let's start now.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the surgeon? Okay, you're going to be the orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
Great. You'll be the commercial pilot. I'm assigning to my kids to
Perfect.
try to build that.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't
read this book about airplanes.
don't get out of high school and wonder about going to the community college. Now, the funny thing is that a lot of people do that. So not to denigrate that idea, that's exactly what I did. I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't hurt me. We live a very, very comfortable
Yeah.
life by any means. But I get out of high school. I go to the community college for like 6 years. It was great, you know? I did nursing for a bit, then I bounced around, but I had no idea. And I think that's normal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what normal is.
Yeah.
Let me use a different word. I think that's what I thought was everyone did.
Sure.
That everyone just tries to figure it out. But I do find that, you know, it would be nice with a little bit of direction. Don't get caught just being stuck, you know?
Yeah.
Go, even if it is, you know, that orthopedic surgeon, it's probably 15 years.
Yeah. It's a long time.
Well, if you get right out of high school, some people are serving a mission. So say you're
Well,
20.
he played on a couple of college basketball teams. And so, I mean, there's a whole thing there of just your regular college is 4 years,
Yeah.
med school is 4 years, and then he had 5 years of residency.
And I bet still
And then another
some
year
other
fellowship.
yeah. So you just assume
That's 14.
14 years,
Yeah.
14 or 15 years. And I thought, well, if you go at 20 and you push through, you're 34.
Yeah.
And then I think, well, that for me was a few years ago. And if I started making a good wage and now you have a nice house to live in and you can raise your kids great, that's not so bad, right? You don't really think about those 14 years.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, I mean, you're only 30s. Now that I'm here, I used to think 30 was old.
Yeah.
But now that I'm here, like everybody says, I mean, I work with the elderly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a young. You know, they refer to me as, "Oh, you're too young for this. I'm the young kid." But that doesn't seem like it's that bad. Mid-30s, now you're setting yourself up for life.
Yeah. It's,
But I'm not there, so
yeah, we'll have to ask Don.
he could speak better to it.
He could do better on that. I've got some questions that came through Instagram. You ready for those? They're pretty out there, man. You ready?
Yeah, shoot.
Time machine.
I'm an open book, pal. You ask me whatever you want.
Time machine takes you to the year 1800. With what you have on your person right now, how do you prove you're from the future?
1800, huh? I assume I'm going to the same location.
Yeah. So you're in the middle of Utah.
Is it
Desert.
important in this hypothetical example to prove I'm from the future?
Yes, they suspect you of who knows what. I'm making this up as I go. Like this wasn't part of the question. One that I had heard is that you're taken back to, one was JFK and one was Abraham Lincoln. So you're taking, let's say it's Abraham Lincoln. They suspect that you're the one who killed him. How do you prove that you're from the future and that it wasn't you?
And that it wasn't me. Yeah, that would be tough. I think the best thing you can do is just start predicting things that, would happen. I'm not a very, I don't know my history quite as well, so I'd have to think, well, 1800, I'm with a bunch of Navajo Indians. They haven't even established Utah yet. They need to change the date on the hypothetical here.
Be careful of the white man is probably what you need to.
Yeah, you have in 30 or 40 years, you got people coming through this canyon right here.
Yeah.
And going to be here. So I would have a hard time communicating, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that was always a tough one.
Yeah. 1847?
Uh-huh.
That'd be tough in this location. We'd have to create a better hypothetical.
Okay. I'll tell him next time, do better. Do better with your questions.
Yeah, we'd have to go back to the east.
If your worst enemy wrote a book about you, what would the title be?
Did one for my dad when he died, and it was titled, "I Did It My Way."
Nice.
So I imagine he did it his way, and his way sucked.
His way was
my worst enemy. They would, they want to attack you from all angles, right?
Yeah.
I'm known for being an emotionless guy.
All right.
So I would imagine that's like a pivotal piece of my my personality amongst everyone that I know is how this person is. He doesn't care about anything. Food is just an inconvenience. I have to have. It's like going to the bathroom. You know how much time we waste going to the bathroom?
Yeah.
What a waste of time when you could be doing so many other things. the networking piece of meals is the way to go. And anyone watching this that knows me, the minute I start bringing that up, they laugh and they go, "Oh, here we go on this again," because that's my core that's my core belief system, is this idea of food is irrelevant to life. It's a requirement to go in my stomach, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, so something in the realm of he doesn't care. What a loser! So many good flavors that he's missing out on.
Brandon's a big foodie, so he would die to hear that. He's like he can tell you everything that's happening and the textures and the chemicals. I'm not there yet, but
A story that I've told over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So don't forget what you were going to say. I was on a mission in New York,
what part?
upstate.
All right.
They got 4 feet of snow now.
Nice.
No, it's like six feet, I think, is last I saw, 70 inches or something.
Isn't that Jimmer? Were you in Jimmer territory up there?
I don't know. Jimmer's a guy you need to get on Man Games, though.
There we go.
He's your local guy. I remember I was reading non-approved literature, but 7 Habits.
Mhm.
7 Habits of Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
And it was this idea of, progression and improving self, perfecting self, and so forth. And I remember sitting down, and it was an Italian family, and there was green olives, and I thought, I don't like green olives. And they were very disappointed and upset about this. Like, you don't turn down food. I've not known Italians to be offended, so I don't think it was a cultural thing. I think it was just this family thing. But they were I felt like they were offended because I turned it down. And so I thought, what am I doing? I need to just accept everything. I need to be okay with anything, because when I say no, or I don't like it, or I'm not interested, it's keeping me from progression in life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm less progressed or less perfect. So I'm like, next time someone offers me green olives, I'm going to just take it, even though I hate them. And I don't know how far along down the road it was offered again. I threw them down. I was like, I don't dislike them. Everything I thought about my life was just turned upside down. I can like everything. And that goes back to the networking, knowing and being willing to be okay or like or have an interest in all subjects and all facets of life. And food was my thing. So when people are like, I don't like pickles, don't put pickles on it. I'm like, why? Put pickles on it. Just eat it. Who cares?
I'm sure your kids love that.
So it's obviously I've tamed down over the years to realize it's okay that you don't like certain foods. But this is like core of my identity, this idea that you can overcome anything. Even if it's food that you think you don't like, you just eat it. My kids they're very aware of this. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
But the green olive story is like this pivotal moment in my life where I decided that I'm gonna like and do and be okay with anything and everything.
Yeah. I think that our kids have a sense of that, I don't like this, right? We'll have a food, or I don't like that. Have you ever had it before? No. Okay, well, just try it. Well, I don't like, and I was the same way. I remember the exact same fight with my parents growing up. Like, I don't want those are gross. I went to Russia, and so there was some nasty food that they ate, like, and theirs was like, you don't turn down food. It's just culturally inappropriate because it's like all the people have if they're living in kind of destitute circumstances and they're willing to give that food. Like, you don't turn it down. So there was stuff that I muscled down there that just, hey, at least I tried it. Well, I hope I never have to eat it again. But I'm a little bit more picky these days.
You just separate this area. It's just to get to your stomach.
There you go. Just swallow it.
You don't
whole.
like it? I don't eat it. It's not meant to taste good.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but
yeah. I did see somebody who said that if they had unlimited funds, they would want to research and find a way that you could take a pill or something that would alter your body to where you could just use with 100% efficiency all of the food so that there was no waste, so that your body could just use every piece of it effectively and then burn it off as heat or water or whatever else.
It'll limit your toilet visits.
Exactly. And that was their point. Like, think of how much time we would save if this is what we were able to do. So
couldn't agree more.
You got to connect with this person.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Do the funding for it. Your 3 book recommendations. Sounds like you read.
So I'd say first is a small read. Who Moved My Cheese?
Mm-hmm. I like that one.
Well, yeah,
Is it
I
Spencer
started.
Johnson? Is that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to pull up. It's Audible.
Yeah.
I do a lot of listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do a lot of reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do a lot of hearing.
Yeah.
Who Moved My Cheese? I was one of the first. I guess Seven Habits would have to be there because that changed the core of. Oh, I don't have 3. I've got a few.
Say as many as you want.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. Carnegie.
Mhm.
He was a Dale Carnegie.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other when I got out of listening to all the self-help books, one of the first 2 books I listened to. Well, the first one was Seabiscuit,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
the horse story, the underdog
Mhm.
horse race.
That's
horse.
another one where like you just don't like that whole world of horse racing. It's like I had no idea that.
Yeah, but what a
Something.
great
Yeah.
that's I think goes back to kind of my overall theme is being well versed in a
Yeah.
lot of things. Who knew anything about what the Triple Crown? I mean, very educational,
Yeah.
but a cool story too as an
Yeah.
underdog to fight through. The other book that I read that was very, very impactful. I felt like every chapter I was watching this movie was Unbroken. They
Mhm.
turned it into a movie,
Yeah.
which, like everyone says, it didn't quite do it justice. But
Yeah.
that was a really, really powerful story, and they reference Viktor Frankl and some other things about power over self. You have full control of everything. It's Stephen Covey's principle of between the action and the stimulus, there's a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all have the same theme. I think I like that theme, which is why these resonate with me. But the prisoner of war story
Yeah.
of and he was a sports guy. He was a Olympian.
Yeah.
Trying to think of Zamperini.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Louis Zamperini story. So those are a few of the books that I think have had big impact on me.
Those are super awesome. The one where he's in the boat and the planes are shooting him and sharks are trying to eat him and he's fighting off sharks and avoiding bullets. Like,
Seriously.
that's just wild.
It's unbelievable. It's just time after time that you're escaping death. Yet, what a miserable. I mean, I think it was a few years that
Yeah.
he was a POW, but yeah, those are very inspiring. So, but very popular too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Those are super cool books. All right, I got 3 questions remaining, and then we can talk about more if you want. These are just the 3 that I got, and these have been on all of them. So if you've listened to any of them, you'll know what's coming here. But who would you like to see at the Next Man Games event that wasn't at this one?
We gotta get Jimmer.
Jimmer. Jimmer,
You gotta get Jim.
if you come across our 35 subscriber YouTube channel,
Jimmer. Is he still out in Asia somewhere?
I don't know. The last I saw, he showed up at BYU tryouts disguised, like how they've done those disguise things. And
Yeah,
he's-
like Eli did at Penn
yeah,
State.
yeah. So he did that at BYU. That's the last I saw of him. So I don't know.
I think you got to start with your local guys. Kimball went to school with TJ Haas,
Yeah.
or Tyler Haas.
He was probably Tyler Haas. Yeah.
Tyler was, I think, a year older.
Kimball's close to my age. He's a little younger.
And
than me.
then Emery, one of the little Emery brothers, Nick Emery, I think
Yeah.
he's younger. You start with a bunch of those guys, your local basketball guys that you got. Kevin Curtis,
There you go.
get him. He's a local guy that played for the Eagles. I went to school with his younger brothers, played basketball with his little brothers. That's who I enjoyed. He's part of the Amateur Players Tour.
Ooh.
You guys can pay me later. I'll throw a spoke out for that one. I'm a member of local chapter of a golf tournament, a golf mini tournaments. It's an organization, Amateur Players Tour, that's local. Kevin Curtis plays in that.
All right.
His little brother Sean is a year or so younger than me, and I think he's still out in Saratoga somewhere near me, Saratoga Springs. But those are a few guys.
There you go. Well,
I
let
think
'em
you
know.
go with your local studs, man. Who are your local? Oh, you know who would be a good one? Ronnie Price.
Yes.
Little UVU alum?
Yes. That would be awesome.
You betcha.
And he's a freak athlete at everything. I mean, he's going to be able to anything that involves speed, strength, and hand-eye coordination.
You know what's funny, though? You sit really, really close at a Jazz game and you kind of experience this idea of how big people are, yet how small some guys are that are. Ronnie Price is one of those guys. My brother ran into him. I saw him from a distance, but my brother's like, I looked down on his head.
Yeah.
He's my height, 6 foot. He's a small dude for, someone who can compete at that level.
Yeah. No, that's wild, those guys.
Ronnie Price. And then you got your Finau, get him and his brother. There's your guys. Start going for all the celebs, all
right.
Well, Finau's a celebrity, but some of those other guys, I don't think they're quite as worldwide known.
And they're not necessarily in the middle of their careers like Tony is,
Yeah. Those are people that would be a lot more willing to just jump out and they want to prove that they got game still.
Would you want to play against them?
Oh, in an array of events, you bet.
Yeah.
That's what makes something like this different. That's like the Olympics.
Yeah.
If you're going to compete in a number of things, most of these guys are athletes, multi-sport athletes. So I'm sure, but I absolutely let them take all the points in their heavy events and see if I can't, shoot them better in a round of bowling or something, something that they're with the rest of us, maybe.
Yeah. Nate Snar brought that up with like Michael Jordan. He was like, I would love to see Michael Jordan play pickleball. He's like, because he hasn't played anything even close to pickleball likely. And how competitive he is. Would he just figure it out, or would he just get embarrassed and then make you play him for 3 days straight until he figured it out?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I would be surprised, though, if he has not played.
Yeah.
There's Tom Brady and some others have purchased professional pickleball.
LeBron did, too.
LeBron, there's a bunch of guys. I think Kevin Durant did.
Yeah.
So it would surprise me if Michael Jordan didn't have a pickleball court in his backyard now.
It's probably true.
But the point is very, very much stands. Well, that's what I mean. Would you like to compete? I think, across the board on 6, 8, 10 different sporting events. I'd love to see.
Yeah.
You bet.
I'm that same opinion. Like, I would love to get destroyed by any of them, right? Like, see them in their element, whether that's Tony or Ronnie Price or Jimmer or whatever. Like, I consider myself a decent basketball player, but I know that it'd be fun to see that level. Then it's like, all right, let's go play ping pong. Like, are you any good at ping pong? Let's go try that out.
You betcha. And you know what's interesting too is as much as high level as some of these guys, I played in a basketball tournament and who's the older brother? Played for the U. God, they're just so well known, but now that I'm sitting here, I can't think of their names. 2 brothers played for the University of Utah.
Are they big or small?
Yeah, tall guys, tall, skinny guys. Like, not Keith Van Horn, but who's the guy that has the same body as Keith Van Horn that played at the U?
Oh, geez. I'm thinking Sean Green in my mind just because I know who he is.
No, Britton Johnson.
Yeah. Britton and Jeff.
Jeff Johnson. Yeah. So we were in a tournament, and Jeff was playing.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder how old he is now. I have to look it up. Studs, tall, very good athletes. But I think if you're not highly competing, there's a lot of these guys that, after a number of years, maybe they start falling down to our level.
Yeah.
Because I just think of any professional athlete after a while, clearly they got to retire because all the young guys are overtaking the world in their sport. So if they're old enough, if they've been away enough, maybe you're competing in their sport.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt it. I'm old, so.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a level of that too where, and I know you've experienced this where you kind of play down to your competition in a way. I think it's hard once they've played on that level, if they're playing with a bunch of us, I don't know that they would be like, okay, I'm going to go full bore 100%, like channel my inner competitive drive that I had when I was playing in the pros or whatever. But
for sure.
So it helps give you a little bit of a chance. And then I played with Britton a couple of times, and he's a big, tall dude, man. He is long, and he's
you and I mean, you're a stud. Don't get me wrong, but we're not playing one-on-one with them and thinking anything special.
No.
Right?
No. I'll just let him shoot threes. Like if you want to post me up at all, it's over.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt. Is I thought, Jeff's a stud, but in that couple games that we ran across, I thought, oh man, he's just a big guy now.
Yeah.
he's starting to drop down to the average, really good player level.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against.
I'm sure he
Jeff at
watches
that point.
this.
I'm sure
he watches this. All right. Who from Man Games that was here this last time would you want to hear from on something like this from a podcast? Justin already said no, so you can't say him.
Yeah. Well, therein lies the problem that I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
So I had a day and a half to get to know some of these guys. That would be a tough question to answer. Somebody with a cool story, but I don't know who would have one.
Okay. We can find those. A lot of dudes with cool stories.
Yeah. You always want to hear from those who have interesting background, or, I bet a lot of people will say the attorneys in that group, or the team that you're doing that fundraising for, the
Brighter Futures group.
Brighter Futures, yeah, that's all about foster care and such. That was pretty cool. I'm sure they have some pretty awesome stories in that realm. Some of the guys who talked, the realtor, he's different. I mean, not different, but you look at him and, he's buzzed and his hair's back in a ponytail. And if you're making initial judgments on people, you look and be like, ooh, he's rough around the edges guy.
Brad.
One would hope that he doesn't, But I look at that, and then you get to know, and you're like, oh, this guy's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's tough. I'm trying to think of to remember the teams and who was there. I have experiences. The guy who shot a bunch of threes on us, Bobby. We had Carson. Oh, he was one that I knew prior.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
BYU guy, volleyball player. A mutual friend that I have is his brother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
Mutual friend, his brother-in-law played a little football at SUU and tried to play at the U a little bit, and he's our quarterback in a lot of the flag football tournaments. But we did know mutual friends, so I knew he was a stud.
Yeah.
He would be cool. Carson.
Cool.
Is Carson?
Carson, yeah. I think he's coming Wednesday, so he'll be here Wednesday.
He?
Yeah.
Yeah. He seems like he'd. I like people who have not a normal upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Find those guys.
Okay.
The abnormal. I was raised in a home with mom and dad and had a good life. I put all those guys aside and go to the rest of them. Not that yours wouldn't be, but yeah.
No. I totally understand that, right? Like, I think that there's something that you can always learn from people, and at least in mine, again, like, I'm not saying like my childhood was all roses and rainbows, because parents split and lots of stuff that happened from that. But I think like what and I don't even know the half of it, but it sounds like from what you had to go through, like that's a different thing, man. Like, that's a different challenge that you had to deal with.
Yeah, those are sometimes enjoyable. It's the Seabiscuit thing, overcoming.
Yeah.
Life obstacles that weren't your choice.
How many siblings did you have?
7. There's 8 of us.
Wow.
So I was the youngest of 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the age gap there? Like your oldest?
I think it's a 16-year.
Yeah.
16 or 17 years from my oldest brother. So I would have been born. He would have been probably a junior or senior in high school.
Yeah.
So didn't live. He was probably off and gone. By the time I came to life, and remember things, I'm sure I had 2 or 3 siblings that were out of the house at that point. Yeah.
I'm a youngest too, so we're the spoiled ones, I guess.
When I got married, we were trying to put a video together, and my wife's trying to get pictures, and I didn't know this was a thing, but in the video, it's a slideshow. You got a picture at age 1, and then a picture of me at age 1 and age 2, and then kind of growing up, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't have any. So it was her, and then a picture of like my kindergarten school picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was one of those, By the time you get to 8, and you just kind of that left out kid.
Yeah.
raise myself type of kid.
You went to high school at Copper Hills, but it sounds like you moved around a lot. Was it always in Utah?
Mostly, yeah. We moved to Colorado, Grand Junction area for 2 months once.
Yeah.
I don't even remember why.
Yeah.
My mom was remarried. It was stepdad. I think probably a job thing.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Really?
Loved Colorado, but that experience, I was probably in middle school.
So you're old enough to that's a pretty pivotal time of life where
the
a lot of things are happening.
First friend I made, I realized he was like a chain smoker. I'm like, pal, you're like 10. What are you doing? Yeah.
Are you pretty
mostly
close
on
to
Utah.
the next sibling? Is that a pretty big gap between you and the second youngest? Or are you pretty close to them?
Yeah. He lives up in Cottonwood Heights.
Okay.
Played a lot of played ball, played sports. He's 2 years older.
Okay.
So I still I golf with him a lot. I still hang. Yeah, he's one that I see more than anyone else for sure. There's some siblings I don't think I ever see. You know, you go a year without or multiple. I had a sister that was in the military and she bounced all over. I went years without seeing her. But yeah.
So I have 2 half brothers, 2 half sisters. I was an accident, and my parents had kids before, and then they had a fun night together, and I surprised the world.
Yeah.
But so my closest sibling is 10 years older than me, and then it goes like 10, 12, 12, 14. And so love him to death, but there's a 14-year gap between me and my oldest brother. So it is kind of hard to ever relate to him, right? Because he's 14 years ahead of me in life at this point. So for him to look back, and all of his kids are a lot older than my kids, so it's a lot different dynamic. It's harder. It's a little bit harder, I think, in that regard, to get closer.
Did they live close?
Yeah, he lives up in Midway. Yeah, where we had man games.
Yeah. I think most siblings still live close. I've got a few in Tooele County. My mom and sister just moved out to Evanston, Wyoming.
Wow.
All the rest are pretty close. My oldest brother is in Harriman. His daughter's down at Dixie. She, shout out to Brooklyn. She won. She was a cheerleader, like a dancer, cheerleader. She cheers at, it's not Dixie, actually, Utah Tech.
Yeah.
She's still there. She won Miss Greater Zion.
All right. Congratulations.
I think she's continuing on. I think it's like you win the city, you win the county, you win the state, you win.
Wow.
I think she's trying to. I'll have to check in with her, but anyways, I see a lot of social media.
That's sweet
on her, but yeah, most of the rest live pretty close. West Jordan, Cottonwood Heights.
Huh? That's a lot of siblings, man. It's a lot of people to keep track of. A lot of birthdays.
It is
holidays.
Well,
Thanksgiving's coming up.
Yeah, we're not a close family, so there's no like calling you on your birthday.
Yeah.
Maybe my brother. None of that exists.
Yeah.
None of that exists in our family.
Yeah.
There's no. My mom spent my entire life not knowing when my birthday was, so that isn't a real thing.
Well, I think this last question is kind of applicable. I'd love to get your perspective. So, what does it mean to you to be a man?
I mean, these days, the news and society may argue that you're even asking me that question.
Valid point. Valid point.
Well, I'll just waste more time with you.
Let's do it.
Well, then if you watch it, just ongoing and rambling, nobody likes that.
Yeah, we'll cut into like hot topic segments.
I didn't have dad, right? My dad, he ended up passing away when I first got married. And I don't think that father figure is around. But in high school, it's kind of a long story. To shorten it, in high school, my mom ended up moving. We were living like in my sister's basement. Don't ask. There's lots. And it ended up being out in West Jordan by Copper Hills. Kind of why I started going to that school. And I think I was a junior. She ended up moving out to Tooele. Her and my stepdad kind of had some on and off, and she found him. And anyway, she ended up out in Tooele. And to this day, she cries about it, and she regrets because she felt like she abandoned me. But I think it was the best thing that ever came. And to answer your question, I was playing football at the time, and I was like, "Hey, coach, I got to quit the football. I got to quit the team. I was ignorant, little like 16-year-old kid. I need to go get a job. I got to find a place to live. He took me in, so he became my legal guardian until I turned 18. Right. I moved into his house. He had bunk beds in his basement, and he had 4 little kids. I think about that to this day. I'm 16. I'm a rascal of a kid, not raised very well. And then this guy who's my football coach has kids that are now my kids' age. Like, I think it was 12 to 2 or something. He had 4 kids, and brought me in, paid for everything. I mean, he took me to Disneyland for the first time, paid for it all. Like, he was one of those guys. Wow. So when you say, what is it? What do I think of to be a man? I think of anybody that is worthy for a large group of anybody to look up to as a role model, or to see as I want to be like him, or I ask that question to other people. Like, you think of the most influential person you know, and the person you look up to the most. What are their traits? What is their personality like? Mm-hmm. Why is it that you look up to them? And I think inevitably, now that obviously there's outliers, but usually they're always core value type traits.
Yeah.
I take care of. I'm a good example. I do what I say. I'm honest. There's like these core values of virtuous people.
Yeah.
That are willing to take off my shirt for you, and I'll take care of you no matter what. So that's what I think of. My football coach was that guy. Who knows where my life would have been without him?
Yeah.
From a religious side, he's the one that sent me out on a mission. Mm-hmm. He's the one that kind of settled me down and said, hey, look, let me show you what a family looks like. Like, they sat down for family. I didn't know what family night was, really.
Yeah.
And they sit down and get together as a family, and I was like, real. When you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyways, he was kind of that guy, and there was a couple other people that kind of were parents that really took me under their wing type guys. And so, when you ask that question, I think of someone like him, just a father, a dad, someone that's willing to come in and take care of you.
Yeah,
that's what a man is, right? I mean, to me, I suppose.
Well, I think you bring up a good point that it's not, he had kids in this situation, but it's not necessarily a dad in the sense of it's your biological child, right? Like, there are other ways to help. And we've mentioned the Brighter Futures group, right? There are people out there who are willing to take on kids and help them that aren't their own, and that are going through crap, right? And that are going through hard times. So
your role models, guys. Your guys that are role models. Your guys that a good number of people would look up to and say, that guy.
Yeah,
that's the guy I want to be like. Those are your inspirers.
Here's the problem that you have being a coach, though, is you're that guy now. So
yeah, the experience that I told you about, that little kid, absolutely. Yeah. It's really hard because I yell at those kids a lot.
Yeah,
suck it up. Give me 20 push-ups.
Yeah,
you're late. For sure.
Yeah,
but I like taking it on. I want to do what I never could do. That's why I have so many hobbies.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's beautiful. I think it's a good thing. I think that, again, this is all we've really gotten to know each other outside of the handful of times we talked for a few minutes at Man Games. But it's always cool hearing stories. Always cool hearing what you're doing. So hopefully you keep in touch. Love to have you back.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I went back on the message and realized you put your phone number on there, and I was like, oh. I'm going to stop texting through Instagram.
Yeah. I'm on there more than I ever was before Man Games, but I'm not on there what I would consider a lot. I'm like, I got to get a post out today, so I'll throw it out there, and that's about it. So
yeah, you're close. This is this is South Jordan, West Jordan. I look at this place as my hood. It's kind of where I spent some time of my youth.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's good stuff. Well, thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming on, and then get another team together, man. We'll do some more sports, and then you can beat me in swimming or something.
I know. Yeah, I talked to Justin about it. He's got some injections, and he's got some knee. You guys got some knee problems. When you jump as high as he does, you're bound to get some.
I swear the air's thinner up there, and so he's probably just like the bones lose their density there for that 4 or 5 seconds that he's hanging in the air, and then he's got to come back down to earth.
It's not the jump; it's the coming back down.
Yeah, gravity sucks.
You gotta land. You don't always have someone there to catch you.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a stud.
Yeah.
We had an enjoyable time. I think we had a very well-rounded team.
No, you take golf out, and I think you guys are right there.
Man, that should have been our best one.
Yeah.
Shoulda.
Groove It Brush. Groove It Brush will help.
I will accept their follow request.
It is a cool thing. Like, if I have to unbiased opinion there, it's a pretty cool little. It's a pretty cool little thing. Pretty cool tool. Okay, man. Well, I've taken all of your Sunday for the most part, but I appreciate you being here. And then I say this with everybody: if you need anything, like, I'm here outside of the man games. Like, you've seen it, what we did for Brandon, what we're doing for Brighter Futures. If anything comes up, please just don't hesitate to reach out, and we're there.
Appreciate
for you.
it. Thank you. The next time has got to be a flipped around. I'm going to ask you all the questions.
You're going to grill me,
and I want to know about you and
all
your
right.
life. You're the one setting this up. You're the one doing it.
Start a podcast, man.
You're the one that's motivated here.
Start up a new podcast.
You created something that I feel like I thought about too, and I bet a lot of people did.
Same vibes, same time too.
But what you did is you did it.
Yeah.
Put it to action.